the whole business of making a film, for me, is kind of like climbing Mount Everest. And the team is what it's about. And some days one is behind and the other's leading. It's a constantly shifting relationship. I'm in the privileged position of being the final arbiter, I could say. That's why I say I'm not an auteur, I'm a filter. I filter what goes in, but half the ideas are not mine. Well, my wife says I always basically make the same film, I just change the costumes. They tend to be more than not about sort of this borderline between fantasy and reality and how the two things work. And I suppose Zero Theorem is a bit of that, but it's not so much about fantasy. It's more about virtual possibilities. And it's about loneliness or aloneness, which is different, trying to define that. But it is about technology surrounding us and invading us to the point that we may not even know who we are, because we've become extensions of other people. We are like neurons in a neurological setup where we just pass on information. We don't really exist except to get a bit of gossip and tweet it to your next friend. And I was curious about, can you be alone? Find out who you are, be alone, see what happens. And I'm encouraging people to be alone. When you make a film, you really just, for me, it's just exploring some ideas, questions, the way the world is, the things that bother me in it, and then you put it out there, and then you see if people respond. If they discover they are not alone, that they see the world like I see it, or it makes them start questioning at the end. Particularly in Zero Theorem, we leave an ending that is ambiguous, and I like that because people can now, after the film, go to a restaurant with their friends and have something to discuss and argue what that meant. Why is it this way? Why is it that way? I'm happy when that happens. I'm not just there to entertain people and send them home, making them feel everything's all right in the world and you can just relax, just keep shopping. I don't want to tell the world that. Romania was, number one, it was great to work there because we could afford to work there. We could actually afford to make the film. Christoph was the key to the whole thing. Once Christoph was on board, we were green-lit. And I told him in our first meeting that, because his character is never off screen, he is the movie, he is going to have to lead me. I'll create the world, I'll create the situations, but he, as the character, has to take me along. And so it's not about me directing him. He's just, hey, come this way. And my job was to record him, as far as I felt. With other characters, someone like Melanie Thierry, who plays a character very different than she's ever played before. And I said, well, why don't you approach this one as a combination of Marilyn Monroe and Judy Holliday and see what we come up with. So you set little things like that, but then they make the choices, is my feeling. I don't think I direct actors. Nikola is, it used to be our joke, I was Don Quixote and he was Sancho Panza, and it needs the two. And Nikola is very outspoken. Some directors don't like that. They want cinematographers that bow and do that. I like somebody who fights with me. And so we start at the beginning of the process. We have ideas, images in our mind. Like in this instance, this film, we talked about Neo Rauch, the German painter, because I love his work, this weird, the way he combines things, even from different periods, different artistic styles, all stuff together. And there's a kind of chaos and it's disturbing. And the color palette is interesting. So that's where we started with it. I don't know how much anybody would recognize the work of Neo Rauch in what we've done, but it becomes a starting point. And then we just... We don't talk that much. We say, get some more light on here. What time is it? It's supposed to be it's supposed to be in the morning? Okay, get the light coming on. It's very fast and very quick, and we work that way. Cinematography, it's very strange to define it, to be quite honest, because there's so many elements in creating the image. It isn't just about the light. It isn't just about where you put the camera. It's about so many things. And so for me, that's why, to me, it's always this team effort between the designer, myself, and you know, I have quite clear ideas of where I think the camera should be. And sometimes I'm wrong, and Nikola's got another idea, and it doesn't matter. But the important thing is that the two of us are making the same movie. That's where you start. That we have a similar idea of where this is going, what is the point of the scene, why we should be here. I mean, I remember when we did the Imaginarium of Doctor Parnassus. There's one shot with Jude Law at a particular point where I just wanted Jude Law with Andrew Garfield behind him. I wanted to keep it as a two-shot, because boom. And as we're shooting it, suddenly I watch Nikola's pushing in. He's going in for a close-up on Jude. And afterwards, I said, what was that about? I said, two-shot. He said, but because what I love about Nikola, he's like watching a movie. He's feeling the movie, and he's very sensitive in that way. And he felt, I just felt like in the audience, I want to be pushing in at that point. And he was right, and I was wrong. It's very simple. As far as Camerimage, it's great because it's really about the business of making movies. It's not about critics and all the nonsense that is talked about. The people that come here either have made a lot of movies, understand the reality, or they're students who want to learn. And that's what I love about it. It's about the nuts and bolts of making movies. How do you do it? Because you read so much nonsense about the movie-making process, and the director is some sort of demigod. It's all nonsense. And it's about learning technical skills, knowing how to deal with these pieces of machinery, these pieces of flesh called the actors. and then it's about light and sound and music. And it's one of the festivals I think you can really sit down and talk to people, young and old, and we can talk about the business of making films. And it's very important. I use all those words. I'm not sure if the passion is still there. I'm getting tired of the fight. It's been a long fight, so you start getting more tired. I don't know. I just don't think there's anything else I want to do, ultimately, with my life. I like making things, and of all the things I get to make, movies are the ones that endure, the ones that last, and they reach a larger audience. I mean, a couple of years ago I did an opera. I'm doing another one. But you're dealing with a very small number of people. I actually like making these things that will be around long after I'm dead, and hopefully still speaking to people in ways that other people aren't speaking to. I mean, there's so many levels of what movies are and their effect. I just know I've got a certain talent or skill or a certain view of the world that people find unique, I suppose. And I don't understand what it is. It's just the way I see the world. I can't do anything else except see it this way. So it's not magic.